Thank you for joining us for another episode of the official Big Bang Theory podcast. I am your host, Jessica Radloff. We are back today with one of my favorite guests that we've had on this podcast. Also, I should mention that since this particular guest was on the last time, we have found the glittery purple jumpsuit that he had no recollection of, but we found it in Kaylee's Polaroid photo album. So we're going to have to find a way to get this up on the site. But please welcome co-creator of 2.5 Men and executive producer and writer on The Big Bang Theory, Lee Aronsohn.
Yeah. Thank you, Jessica Rabbit.
Radloff, you're so very welcome. I'm still convinced. Listen, that's why Sheldon Lee Cooper, named after you, Leopold, what's his name from season 1? Yeah. You just take credit. But today we're going to talk about the Euclid Alternative, which is season 2, episode 5. It aired on October 20th, 2008. And the logline is that Sheldon annoys the gang when Leonard can't drive him to and from work, so they try to teach him how to drive. Do you remember the inspiration for this episode?
The inspiration was we needed a story. But if the last episode we did, though, there was just a throwaway line where they were talking about going to Long Beach, and Sheldon Leonard says, "We're going to Long Beach, of course," and Sheldon says, "Of course not. I don't drive."
Right.
And so I know we'd established that Sheldon doesn't drive, and we'd established that it may be in this episode that Penny has to drive him to work because Leonard can't. And I think we just started, talking about what would happen, and the breakthrough in breaking the story was, because we talked about, okay, Sheldon's got to go to the DMV and Sheldon's got to take a driver's test. But we've seen that over and over again in sitcoms.
Right.
And I guess the breakthrough came when the idea came that, okay, the guys build a driving simulator for him. And then that was a lot of fun to write. I remember that.
I can't imagine, though, what it was like to build that thing, which we're going to listen to some of those scenes. But that must have taken forever.
Well, I don't think it was a real driving simulator.
But it sure looked like it.
Well, sure. That's the magic of Hollywood.
Of television, exactly. And we later find out in young Sheldon that the reason he didn't ever want to get a driver's license, even though we later find out that he did get a license, is that when his father was hospitalized early on in his life, his brother, Georgie, decided to drive Sheldon and Missy to the hospital, and along the way kept running into trash cans and bumps on the road and everything else. And it was so traumatic for Sheldon that that's why he decided he never wanted to learn how to drive.
Hey, I should be getting residuals
You
from
really should.
Sheldon.
You really should. Between that, the knock, everything. Bazinga, writing that down. Absolutely. Okay, so we start the episode where, of course, Leonard is working kind of the night shift on a special project. That's why Leonard can't drive to Sheldon to work. Sheldon goes to Penny to say, listen, I need you to take me to work in only a way that Sheldon could ask. So let's listen to this clip. But remember, you can find the full episode on Max.
Didn't you recently state that you and I are friends?
Yes, Sheldon. We are friends.
Then I hereby invoke what I'm given to understand as an integral part of the implied covenant of friendship. The favor.
Oh, dear God.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was interrupting your morning prayers. When you're done, we'll go.
Writing like that and finding a way to just go back to Sheldon's mother, Mary, who was so religious, and finding a way to work. Like, it was just brilliant. I don't know how you guys did all that.
We weren't doing it consciously. I mean, we were just trying to get through the day. It's not like we plan these things out. Oh, down the line when they do Young Sheldon,
right,
this is going to be a great callback. No, I do notice, the first thing that I do notice is how much Sheldon's character has evolved since the last episode we watched. He's much more the Sheldon, that we know.
Yes.
He doesn't make eye contact.
Right.
He, very pedantic and not really concerned with anybody but himself.
Yep. And that just continued more so throughout the series.
Right.
Were you of the opinion, because a lot of people felt this on the writing staff, that Sheldon was on the spectrum, even though it was never officially established?
Absolutely. I never thought there was any doubt about it, honestly.
And that's what made him so endearing, because people saw themselves in this character, and they call it a spectrum for a reason, because we're probably all on it in some ways.
Right,
so that's what made him.
I'm definitely socially autistic. I cannot pick up social cues at all.
Listen, I have 3 learning disabilities, so it all like goes hand in hand, and and that's the thing I always say too about these characters on The Big Bang. If you really got to know them and see the idiosyncrasies, there was so much that you could say, oh, yes, I recognize that. I understand that. Because so many times we wanted to be as cool as the characters we saw on Friends, let's say. But we were all so much more like the characters, I truly think, on Big Bang.
And the fact is that the writing staff was on there was a whole spectrum on the writing staff.
And God bless them for it, because we needed that representation. Penny does take Sheldon in her car to work. It does not go well.
Well, that's the check engine light stuff.
At all. Yes. The check engine light comes on in Penny's car, and what does Sheldon say?
I think it's Penny. I'm probably completely inaccurate, but what I remember is, Penny, check engine light is on. So, well, shouldn't you, check engine?
I have to imagine that there was somebody on the writing staff that frequently, they always had their check engine light coming on and never did anything about it.
I think it was me, and I think it was my wife at the time.
Oh, my God.
I could be, again.
Was this when you were driving?
I don't want to insult anybody who remembers coming up with them themselves, because it could have been.
Was this when you were driving a car with a vanity plate saying 2.5 Men?
No, I got rid of that way before Big Bang Theory.
Sheldon has to go through numerous obstacles in this episode to get rides to work every day. And we get our first glimpse of Sheldon screaming on the back of Howard's moped while he's trying to get to work.
Penny won't drive him, and so Howard has to.
Right. Penny kicks him out of the car and makes him walk the rest of the way.
Right, yeah.
To
and
work.
There's a smash cut at some point.
Yes. So
Sheldon on the back of the scooter.
Let's listen to a little bit of this lovely screaming from Jim Parsons that we get on the back of this moped.
Oh, God, not Euclid Avenue!
So this was shot on the back of the Warner Brothers lot.
Right.
And those houses that he's going through, they had offices in them. And the first year of Big Bang Theory, we were in one of those houses. That's where the Big Bang Theory offices were. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's so interesting to know. And obviously, if you take a tour of the Warner Brothers backlot, which they offer, you can probably then go see. Do you remember which house it was? No. That's so fascinating that they had you guys in one of those houses.
They didn't have room for us anyplace else. And then they put us off the lot in that big glass building, outside a gate that isn't even open anymore. And then they finally moved us onto the lot, onto the Chuck Lorre building.
Oh, my goodness. That is so wild. Where was 2.5 Men?
2.5 Men? Oh, maybe I'm thinking the 2.5 Men, we started in a trailer. And then I guess we moved to the big glass building. I don't know that Big Bang ever moved to the big glass building. We moved from the glass building for 2.5 Men into the building that became the Chuck Lorre building once he had a zillion shows on the air. But at the time, it was just 2.5 Men, and it was, 3 other shows or 2 other shows. And as those shows got canceled and room opened up, then we moved Big Bang over.
Oh, my God.
But for a while, we were going back and forth between those 2 offices, and that was a pain.
Oh, my God. I would imagine so. Do you remember being on the back lot when Jim and Simon were doing, well, I guess there was actually stunt doubles who were doing this scene on the moped. And
then they put him on a green screen.
Do you remember Jim just having to scream endlessly?
I remember that because I remember we planned it as a smash cut. We planned it as going from, well, I'm never getting on the back of a scooter, cut to, something like that.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Listen, it might have been a relief for him because he always had to memorize this complicated science jargon, and now he just gets to scream in an episode. He probably loved it.
Yeah, sure. Just get to the elemental emotions.
Once Sheldon does not have a great experience on Howard's moped, everybody is so tired of dealing with him, they decide to stage an intervention.
Right.
So you can watch it all in Max, but let's listen to that right now.
Sheldon, you know that we care about you.
And it's because we care about you that we've decided we have to speak up.
You're hurting the people around you, sweetie.
So we made you an appointment, and we want you to keep it.
Department of Motor Vehicles' new driver handbook. But I don't have a problem.
Sheldon, you need to learn how to drive.
This madness has to stop.
Penny's taking you to the DMV. I'm going to bed.
Why Penny?
Because rock breaks scissors.
Was there anyone on the Big Bang staff who could not drive?
I do not know. I did not check up on them.
Well, because I know that Carol Ann Susie, who was the voice of Mrs. Wallowitz, she couldn't drive. She didn't have a license because she was a New York-based actor. So sometimes Melissa Rauch would give her rides home. Sometimes Kunal Nair would give her a ride home and stuff. And yeah, so...
News to me.
News to you. Okay. Yeah. So everybody had a license as far as you know. They all go...
Johnny got one of the first Tesla Roadsters.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah. He was very proud of that.
That's amazing. That's what Chuck would say when everybody got picked up. Well, when the show got picked up for extra seasons and they knew they were okay, the cars on the lot all of a sudden started getting more expensive. Yeah. And it was really, I mean, what a great way to measure someone's success of a show is to see,
see what the parking lot looks like.
What the parking lot looks like, exactly. So anyway, so then everybody goes to the DMV and we meet Octavia Spencer for the first time.
Who was not Octavia Spencer then?
I think she had maybe done Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. I want to say that movie with Josh Duhamel back then, but certainly not The Help, or The Help The Help didn't come out till 2011 actually. So this was 3 years prior. So yeah, you're right. This was not the Octavia Spencer that
she'd been in the Help we would not have gotten.
Right. Chuck is very powerful, though. You never know. You never know. But yes, this was pre The Help. Did you know who she was at all, just from any other credits she had done prior to this?
No. She was just a day player.
Okay.
And she was really good.
She was fantastic, and she eventually came back as well, and she was also in an episode of Young Sheldon before. So see, even with The Help, she was loyal.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Well, we get her only for a brief scene, and she's fantastic in it. But because that does not go so well at the DMV, Howard later devises a simulated steering wheel car situation for Sheldon to learn how to drive. It kind of looks like, I guess, how you guys would do car scenes where they had these steering wheels that would be in the floor, kind of.
Well, when we did them for an audience, we just put them in chairs with a steering wheel in front of them.
Yes, exactly. This was a bit more elaborate, though.
But when we shot it, we'd put them in actual cars in front of a green screen.
Right.
No, this was more elaborate. We put, I haven't watched this episode, decades, but I recall 3 screens, at least 3 screens, like it monitors, I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Monitors, and we never saw what was on the monitors. We just we'd use sound effects and reactions of people watching, because I remember it ends up that Sheldon drives off the road and ends up smashing into the wall of a parking lot or something.
Yes.
Shopping center.
Yes.
Yeah. That was funny.
You just said to me, "Go Jim," and it couldn't be more accurate.
The man could it really was a dialogue machine.
But how the heck did you guys come up with that dialogue? I know you had a science
physicists.
consultant.
Yeah,
I know. But still,
we
to
would
make it
write.
funny,
No, we would write science to come in the script.
Right. That's what Professor David Salzberg would say. But still, how do you make the science funny? Like, to know what to say in there to actually.
Oh, it doesn't. What made it funny was just the complexity of it, not anything content wise. He was just stringing a bunch of fancy words together that, what were you doing when you were 16? Well, it reminds me of a story that Donnie Harrison tells, George's son, about getting into some sort of an argument with his father, when he was in his 20s, and saying, Dad, I'm 27, I'm a grown man. And George saying, oh, what was I doing when I was 27? Oh, yes, Sergeant Pepper.
That's good. That's so great. No, it's such a great scene. And this man, as many Emmys as he has, he deserves even more of them, because I watch that and I'm just...
He's a comedy god.
Truly. Absolutely. At the end of the episode, maybe because this was close to Halloween, we get a bit of a Halloween spooky vibe, shot in a very cinematic way, which makes sense, I guess, because Sheldon is giving up on driving altogether. None of these things worked. Mm-hmm. And he decides to sleep at the office and just kind of adapt himself to Leonard's schedule.
Doesn't he frighten the cleaning lady?
The cleaning crew. Yes. And he is in this hoodie when he surprises them, and he's at the vending machine.
Right.
And he says, do you remember what he says?
No.
He says, you see nothing.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in a hoodie in another episode that I'm completely blanking on right now. I want to say it was season 1, when Leonard speaks at a conference about a paper, but Sheldon is upset because he believes he came up with the idea. So he's sitting in the audience trying to go incognito and also wearing a hoodie there. It was like his go-to costume whenever he was trying to fly under the radar, which never lasted for long. Mm-hmm. But do you remember this episode I'm referring to? Mm-hmm. That's okay. They kind of all blur together.
Yes, they do.
A little bit at this point. But we find out that he's just completely given up. Now he's sleeping over. We do find out at the end of this episode that Leonard finished his night shift experiment job that he was working 2 weeks prior. But
it didn't tell him,
to play a joke on Sheldon, he decides not to tell him and to keep him there, which was just genius, because so much of this show
in character.
Yeah, was character driven. Comedy in the end. So I just love that so much. Anything else you want to say about this episode that you remember?
Octavia Spencer was hilarious. The Penny Sheldon scenes were always hilarious.
The Shenny scenes, as they called them.
Yeah.
Were they your favorite too? I know it was always a group effort writing the show, but were they some of the most fun for you guys to write?
Well, they were the easiest.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because until you got to the Christmas episode scene where, their relationship kind of evolves a little bit.
Right.
It's just like you don't have to worry about, like with Leonard and Penny. It's like, will they, won't they, so there's nuance there. They're all with Sheldon and Penny. It's just you're taking two people who live on different planets, and putting them together and letting them talk, and it's hilarious. Right.
I think back to the episode. It's not until season 3, the duck adhesive efficiency.
It had something to do with her slipping and then putting vinyl ducks on the bottom of her tub.
To prevent her from slipping. But she slips and she breaks her arm, and Sheldon has to be the one to take her to the hospital because the rest of the guys are out in the desert getting high, and Penny needs help putting her clothes on, and Sheldon accidentally touches her boob and then has to fill out everything in the emergency room, which is hysterical. So yes, there are scenes that they shared together were just so good.
Well, honestly, if you take that premise and ask yourself, okay, how would it work if it had been Leonard who had to take her to the hospital?
Right.
How would it work if it had been Koothrappali who had to take her to the hospital? How would it work if Wolowitz had to take her to the hospital? They'll all be funny.
Yeah.
But only with Sheldon is it hilarious.
Right. And that's why I wanted later on in the series run, once Bernadette and Howard had their kids, I always wanted to see an episode where Sheldon had to babysit. I just thought that would have been hysterical to watch him with a baby.
Kids?
Bernadette and Howard did.
They did?
They did. They had kids later on.
Wow.
And we never saw them until the very last episode when we finally got a glimpse of them.
Oh, so I know exactly what the thinking was, because we didn't see Mrs. Wolowitz.
Right.
And then Mrs. Wolowitz died.
Right.
So now we're not going to see the kids.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
So that's how it went. And also it's hard with kids, but it just became a thing that
Yeah.
it was like,
Sure.
we never saw him until the very last episode. But I always thought it'd be so funny if Sheldon had to babysit, because seeing him in these situations that he was a fish out of water is
Sure.
where the genius lied.
I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Thank you. We could come up with that. Let's write a spinoff where we get extra episodes of Big Bang and we can come up with that. Before we jump into games, because you did so well on your last episode, what have you been up to? What are you working on lately? Tell us a little bit about what's going on. Your tan in the world of Lee Aronsohn.
Well, after the final episode of 2.5 Men, which I guess was in 2015, I basically felt like I'd done all the sitcoms that I needed to do.
Yeah.
And so I basically retired, but I also wanted to keep doing things creatively, things that I hadn't been doing for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know? So the first thing I did was I made a music documentary called The Magic Music Movie. And it concerns a band that I knew in college in Boulder, Colorado, called Magic Music. And they were the biggest thing in Boulder. The hippies, beautiful harmonies, acoustic music. They would come down, play on campus, pass the hat. Everybody thought they were going to be the next big thing.
Okay.
And then they disappeared. And for 40 years, I'm wondering whatever happened to them. So now I've got some time in my hands. I started doing some research. I found one of the members of Magic Music, which led me to some of the other members of Magic Music, which led me to, one of the members that was estranged from Magic Music because of a bad drug deal. And long story short, I made a documentary about, finding these guys, telling their story, what went wrong with their career. They kept blowing chances, and then doing a reunion concert in Boulder. So that became 40 years in the making, the Magic Music Movie, which you can find on Amazon or Tubi or, whatever, Moby, Hubie. Scooby-Doo. It's free on Tubi, and I think it's $3 on Amazon.
That's fantastic.
And now I am currently working on another documentary called Rule 34.
Okay, tell us about it.
Have you ever heard of Rule 34?
No, but I'm about
Rule
to.
Rule 34 is an internet meme.
Okay.
Which says, if it exists, there is porn of it.
Interesting.
So the premise of this documentary is it true?
Okay.
And I'm in the middle of that right now.
Wow. That's really fascinating. And when do you hope to release this?
Sometime in 2025, hopefully.
Okay. And how much do you watch comedy series now? I feel like there's not a ton of comedies. There's more dramedies than anything. But do you watch a lot of TV now?
No. I mean, I watch Hacks.
Okay.
I like Hacks.
Which is brilliant.
And I watch The Bear, which is not a comedy.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that.
But no, I don't watch any network shows.
Okay.
There's just so much.
Right.
So much peak TV still to watch. So most of it is not comedy. Trying to think of what I had watched in the realm of a half hour.
Does it make you sad ever to think there will probably never be another 2.5 Men or Big Bang Theory ever again? And what I mean by that is because of the introduction of streaming and so many more networks, we probably won't have a show that is like a multicam, that gets those amount of viewers on a weekly basis and really is just part of our culture.
Now, 2.5 Men and Big Bang Theory and maybe Modern Family were the last sitcoms to have mass audiences, huge aftermarket sales in, cable and syndication and stuff, and generate huge profits. Am I sad about that? No, I got mine.
I love the honesty.
No, it's a pendulum. They said multi-camera sitcoms were dead before 2.5 Men, and we proved them. We brought them back, and now I think they're saying it again. So the pendulum will always swing back and forth. I never wanted to be a writer. I was a stand-up, and a guy who I knew who was a television writer said, "You're funny. Have you ever considered writing?" And I was starving to death. And I said, "No, I hate writing." And he told me how much they were paying writers. And I said, on the other hand, and it just turned out I could do it. I was very lucky. I got to pitch a story to Love Boat, and they bought the story, and I wrote the script. And I guess from spending a lot of years in front of a TV set, I kind of knew the rhythms. I kind of absorb the rhythms of TV, so I could kind of do it. Yeah. But I was so insecure about it and so scared I could only do it with drugs.
Wow. Do you remember that first episode you wrote of Love Boat?
Yeah, of course. It was called The Search.
Okay.
It was about a woman who was put up for adoption as a baby and is now searching for her birth mother, and had hired a private detective who tracked her birth mother to this cruise ship going to Mexico, right? So she books the cruise too, and she's going to confront her mother. But somehow things keep getting in the way, and she can't come face to face with this woman. But she does meet this guy, played by David Burney, by the way. And in the meantime starts a romance with her, basically ends up in bed with him, and then finds out that he's her son, the woman's son. Wow. So she thinks she's in bed with her brother. Okay, this is how I pitched it. I pitched it as a comedy.
Yeah.
It turned into just a very touching reunion with, and the guy turned out to be a stepson, not a real son. So there was no incest involved.
Right. Thank God.
That was my first. That was my first script, and because it was a tearjerker, basically, they just had me writing tearjerkers for a while. I couldn't get them to let me write a comedy.
Oh my! Did you eventually enjoy the writing process?
No. Never. No, I have there's an article I wrote for the Writers Guild Journal many years ago called "Why I Hate Writing."
I think a lot of writers would actually agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It's very hard and it's very isolating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just turned out to be television writing turned out to be the one thing I could do.
Yeah.
That people would pay me to do.
Right. How much, can I ask you, did you get paid for that first script?
Whatever scale was. Okay. I think $3,000, $3,500.
Wow, back then
Yeah, it was more money than I'd ever made at one time in my life.
Right. Well, kudos to you. First of all, the fact, 40 years sober, that Thank is you. No small feat. That is incredible.
I've been very lucky. I have had friends who steered me in the right direction to a 12-step program whose name I will not mention, but you can guess it. And
but God bless them for doing that.
Yeah.
Truly. If you're ever on an airplane and you see someone watching 2.5 Men or The Big Bang Theory, or heck,
it's not
even
a plane.
The Love Boat.
I walk into bars.
I
walked into a nursing home, okay? Where my girlfriend's mother was living, an assisted living facility, and I walked in, and what is playing? Big Bang Theory in the common room.
But do you tell people that you should?
No.
If you're sitting next to someone on a plane and they're watching Big Bang or 2.5 Men, you should just have them be like, I helped write that.
Why would I do that?
The same reason you got vanity license plate that said
Yeah,
2.5
it was a
men.
bad idea when I did it. It's a bad idea when I did it 20 years ago. Why would I repeat that?
Because I think what you have contributed to pop culture and to television and the legacy of these shows is something to be very, very proud of.
I am proud of it, but I don't.
But you're not going to tell
I don't
people?
need strangers knowing who I am. I mean, no. Why?
Well, I can't
There's
wait.
crazy people out there.
Oh, I forget. You've really gone through you've really gone through it with some actors, so you don't need any more.
And just in life.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's play Nerdball. You ready for this game?
I don't know what it is, so
but you're
I don't
gonna
know if
love
I'm
it.
ready.
Okay, Star Trek or Star Wars? Which do you prefer?
I think the first Star Wars movie is better than any of the Star Trek movies. I think the Star Trek TV series, at least some of them, are better than any of the Star Wars spin-offs. If I had to choose a universe to live in, it would probably be the Star Trek universe.
Interesting. Have you ever met any of the actors from Star Trek? Did you meet
we had
Nimoy?
We had George Takei on.
Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy signed something. I don't think he ever came to the set, or he may have later.
He did come to the set
after I was gone. Then.
Okay, I gotta go back and look at that. But yeah,
I did know. I have met on a couple of occasions. William Shatner.
Okay, sci-fi or fantasy?
Sci-fi. I really have no use for fantasy. I mean, it's funny though. I did watch Game of Thrones. I became a huge Game of Thrones fan.
You?
Yes. Which surprised the hell out of me because I'm not into the dragons and the who's. And I certainly was not into the supernatural aspects of it.
Right.
What I loved about Game of Thrones was the politics, and the characters, and the backstabbing and that shit. So am I allowed to say shit?
Why not? Sure. If not, we'll bazinga you.
Yeah. It's and all that beep. So no, I'm sci-fi always.
Lord of the Rings movies or the Hobbit movies?
Neither.
Hoth or Endor?
In terms of planets or in terms of series?
What you prefer?
Hoth is an ice planet, so I'd have to say Endor.
C-3PO or R2-D2?
Oh, R2-D2, because C-3PO is just infuriatingly irritating. I really, even at the time I was watching the movies, I said, why does anybody put up with this guy? He's kind of an off switch, right?
BB-8 or R2-D2?
R2-D2, because BB-8 was just a naked ploy to capture the audience for cute droids.
And it worked.
It did.
It worked. Christian Bale as Batman or Michael Keaton as Batman?
Christian Bale as Batman.
Really?
Yeah. I think Christian Bale got the psychotic aspect of Batman down real good, I thought.
I appreciate that answer. Captain Kirk or Spock?
Depends for what, but Spock for almost anything.
And finally, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I've spent so much of my life thinking about this question.
I'm glad you finally get a chance to let us all know about it.
And just based on what my dreams are, it would have to be flying.
Well, you came up with what device for Alan on 2.5 Men?
The AccuCrack.
Right. Maybe you could still come up with something to allow you to fly for short periods of time.
Yeah, I don't, my back won't take it.
Okay.
anymore.
Well, at least we've established that. Lee Leopold Aronsohn, how much fun did you have on this podcast?
Jessica Rabbit Radloff.
Yeah.
I had a ball.
This podcast was produced by Warner Brothers Unscripted Television in partnership with Max.